Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov Chess channel and welcome back to the Computer Rapid Chess Championship that you can follow now on chess.com. The link to the beautiful chess event will be for the first thing that you see in the description below. Please check it out. You can download many great games, many PGNs. You can have a great preparation in particular lines and sidelines of any opening. So we are following now one epic gameplay by Stockfish against its arch enemy Leela LCZero in a beautiful French defense game in the so-called Tarrasch variation. And this game again had beautiful sharp attacking ideas already in an early stage of the game. Then we'll see beautiful middle game strategies and then eventually also cool endgame techniques. So in my opinion, again, a beautiful game that had every aspect of the chess game covered all over the board. In my opinion, really a beautiful game. So let's see now what happened. The Stockfish with the white pieces opened with move e4. Leela LCZero's response was e6, the French defense, d4 d5, knight to d2, the Tarrasch variation, knight to f6 e5, knight to d7, and now after move e5, notice that we have the blocked out pawn structure. The pawn chain is showing the direction that white should attack the king side. On the other hand, black will simply make progress further here with move c5. So c5, c3, Stockfish locks now the center, plays a beautiful healthy pawn structure here. Also on the queen side, we have now the move g6 and now knight to f3. And this is a good choice by Stockfish. Notice now, after move knight to f3, knight from d to f3, you still have even this knight on as a possible defender of the square d4, because in the next couple of moves we can expect some ideas of a6, b5, queen to b6, knight to c6. So black will eventually continue the pressure around the square d4, but this move order by black can be then met with the move bishop to d3. Then we play knight from g to e2, and now we're having a further grip around the square d4, which is, I think, the only vulnerable square that we have here in white's position. If the position somehow gets broken around the square d4, then you could have huge positional problems. So that's why this move order gives here white a certain flexibility to be very compact in the center of the board. So in the game, knight to c6, Leela continues the pressure around the square d4 like black usually does in the French defense. We have bishop to d3 with the preparation, as we said, to play knight to e2, bishop to e7. Now, because of the pawn chain direction, we are attacking immediately here from white's perspective the king side with the move h4, and Leela blocked it now with the move h5. But now comes already a tricky idea. After move knight to e2 that Stockfish played, Leela continues the pressure on the queen side like black does many times, as we said. But now already a provocative move here by Stockfish against Leela, knight to g5. And many of us would not love to tolerate this knight on this kind of an active square, but on the other hand, you don't want to even give up your most precious piece against this knight, because your bishop on e7 is simply the best minor piece on the board. It has good activity on both sides. So okay, in some lines maybe it's even good to give up just the bishop for a knight, but in this scenario, I think after bishop to g5, knight to g5, look at this. You're continuing with the bad bishop on c8 that's paralyzed by its own pawn structure. In the next move, we can even expect moves like g4 if the position allows it. Maybe if you pass through with the move h4, even f5. So I think eventually you will be broken here on the king side. You will get destroyed by the pawn storm that's coming to you, and also the h-file attack is something that bothers black in the continuation of the game. In some lines, maybe we can even play knight to g3, maybe if possible even to sacrifice knight to h5, rook to h5, rook takes h5, the queen comes here. So although it is seemingly blocked out pawn structure, I think white could have progressive ideas here on this side of the board. So that's why after knight to g5, Leela continued with the move b6 and probably wanted to play something like bishop to a6, trading off finally this bad bishop on c8 for the powerful bishop on d3. But Stockfish is not allowing this scenario. Stockfish played now beautiful knight takes e6 immediately. From this point on, the game becomes really a mess all over the board. Pay good attention how Stockfish is now attacking this position. So after move knight to e6, f takes e6, bishop to g6. So Stockfish has now 2 pawns for the minor piece, but has also another compensation compensation, which is now a black loss of the privilege of castling. Now after move king to f8, it's another element. So you didn't gain your whole 3 points in material, but at least you gained another problem in black's position, which is now the endangered king on the f file. So Stockfish continues the pressure with the move kingside castling. The king is lined up against the rook, so you have to lose another tempo in order to get the king into security. But now Stockfish breaks the position immediately with the move f5, and now we have knight to f8. Leela plays a good move. Leela wants to trade off the piece that's very active here, wants even to simplify the game by trading off further pieces, because if the game reaches now the full endgame stage, then of course black should be better because of the extra material. But now Stockfish plays another brilliant move. Beautiful f6, really wild stuff, sacrificing another piece. After move knight to g6, Stockfish doesn't even take out now the bishop on e7, plays now a brilliant bishop to g5. This is the way to go, because if you play f takes e7, then after something like knight from g to e7, maybe black can regroup, maybe black can get new defenders somehow into the game. Still, it's a tough time. Still, white is much better, but this continuation is much better that Stockfish played. Now bishop to g5, didn't pick up the bishop immediately, because if you try now to get out of this mess with the move bishop to f8, then you risk this tactic, f7, and then discover the attack against the queen. So then it will be really a game over here for black. So after move bishop to g5 that Stockfish played, Leela played c takes d4. Stockfish is not rushing here. Stockfish plays first c takes d4, secures again the firm center. Nothing can happen in the center of the board. That's the way to go. Stockfish is simply playing great positional ideas here in the center of the board, because the attack will not splash on the king side. We have still opportunities to do something here on the king side. So black wants desperately, of course, to break and enter somehow here, somewhere on this side of the board, but it's not possible because of this beautiful pawn chain that's blocked out in the center. So in the game, bishop to d7. Leela is desperately trying now to get the bishop into the game. Here, knight to g3 played by Stockfish. Stockfish is still not rushing to play something like f takes e7. If you play bishop to e8 here, then also knight to h5 is very dangerous here for black to handle. The knight is coming in a beautiful way into the game, then we can trade it off. Then maybe the rook is coming into the game, maybe the g file could be open. So again, a messed up position here for black. So in the game, after move knight to g3, we have queen to e8 by Leela LCZero, and actually even f7 is here a possibility. f7 is perfectly fine. It's not a mistake if white does it, but there are better ideas. After f7, probably Stockfish calculated that this could be maybe too much of a compensation for black. After move queen to f7, rook to f7, king to f7, black would have the rook and 2 minor pieces for the queen, which is in many occasions enough, but still black has problems, of course, because black has the king in the center, black has a messed up king. So still white, even in this scenario, would be much better. But the other continuation was much better than Stockfish plays. After move queen to e8, now Stockfish plays f takes e7, because after knight to e7, now a rook to f6. And look how Stockfish is not allowing here Leela LCZero to breathe. Leela would love, of course, to come maybe with the queen on g6, defending with the queen in front of the king, but Stockfish is not allowing that. And notice that the bishop on d7 is still paralyzed by its own pawn structure. Even the queen now bothers the bishop here. The bishop cannot come into the game. So really a messed up game here for Leela LCZero. So in the game, rook to h7. Now Leela is trying at least to get the rook in front of the king. Stockfish continues the pressure with the move queen to d3. It's not even allowing the knight to come on g6, because from that square maybe the knight could be useful again as a new defensive piece. So now knight to d8 played by Leela LCZero, and Stockfish uses now the principle of the last piece that hasn't played so far. So when you are on the attacking side and when you don't have a better opportunity to be more active. So I think when we watch now this position, the queen has the most activity that it can really get. It cannot get on a better square. The rook has the most activity. The bishop has the most activity that it can possibly have. The knight also. So the only piece that needs to be improved is of course the rook from a to f1, and now Stockfish builds a beautiful, beautiful attacking formation. The problem also for Leela is that you cannot play knight to f7. You would love to do that. You would love to bring a new defender into the game, but then queen to h7 is winning the game. Look at this, really, really wild stuff. After queen to h7, rook to f7, you step back, then we pick up this piece. We'll get a battery here on the 7th rank, so it's game over. Knight to h5, knight to f6, so you can be my guest. You can play whatever you like, but this is game over here for black. So after move rook from a to f1, Leela defended in this way, which is perfectly fine. Knight to f5, but now Stockfish plays again on the principle of the most activity. So again, we ask ourselves the question where the piece could have even a better activity. Now when the rook is on f3, then it can be maybe maneuvered to g3, and then when it's on g3, then it's attacking the king on the g file. So beautiful, beautiful move. So really nice attacking ideas here by the fish. So rook to c8. Leela is bringing simply the last piece also into the game, but I kind of feel that this rook is simply too far away from the action. Even if you manage to do something, it cannot be included in the proper way into the game. So that's why after move rook to c8, Leela got challenged with this move. Knight to f5, we have e takes f5, bishop to h6. So you see now we have a clear path. Queen to e3, queen to g5 is a possibility, or a rook to g3. Now the g file is open, and this is again an unpleasant position here for Leela c0. So in the game rook to f7, Leela tries again to simplify the game by trading off the pieces. A rook to g3, the king drops back to h7, and now queen to f3. This is a beautiful move. Rook to f6, we have e takes f6, and the problem is now for Leela that you cannot play the move f4. You don't have time. You would love to play this move, finally maybe bringing the bishop into the game, maybe even play a certain blockade with the move bishop to g4. That would be, I think, a beautiful defensive move, but this is not possible because you get destroyed. Rook to g7 is here winning immediately because you don't have time to pick up the bishop on h6. Queen to f4 is immediately a checkmate. If you step back maybe here to h8, that's not possible because then you get a rook to e7, the queen gets attacked. You can maybe step back to g8, but now with bishop to g7, you have this one, king to h7, and now after queen to h5. This is again a beautiful, beautiful checkmate. Of course, you can sacrifice maybe the queen, but of course that's also losing then for black. So after move e takes f6, you see this whole idea of f4 to play defensively is not working here. Leela c0 played king to h8, got out of this mess, prevented this immediate check with the move rook to g7. Stockfish plays now a beautiful move, king to h2, because the king could be endangered by the rook activity on the first rank, maybe even by the queen activity. A calm, brilliant move here by Stockfish. Now the king is not endangered. You cannot play further checks against the king, so still there's simply no counterplay against bishop to g7, queen to h5, queen to f5, so rook to g7. Many ideas come to my mind here, but obviously it's a bad game here for black. So in the game knight to e6, again a beautiful move, at least controlling somehow the g7 square, but Stockfish play simply on this idea, bishop to g7. If you play knight to g7, this wasn't played in the game, but let's see this scenario, then of course here queen to f4. You don't want to even take out the knight immediately, because after queen to g8, now we play first the queen to h6. You have to cover now with the queen. Now look at this, f takes g7. You cannot take, of course, with the queen. You have to step back with the king. Now we play queen to d6, attack the bishop, and now in the next move, queen to e6 is, in my opinion, winning the game. So it's a messed up game again here for black. So after move bishop to g7, if you play king to h7, then the problem is now queen to f5 is here winning the game. Again, you have something like this, but now bishop to f8, discover check, many opportunities again here for white. So in the game after move bishop to g7, we have king to g8. You have to get in front of the rook. That's the wild part. Bishop to h6. The king again drops to h8. We have bishop to g7, king to g7, queen to f5. The queen is paralyzed here. If you move the queen, then of course queen to h5 is coming, and then maybe queen to h8. In the game, queen to f7, bishop to h6, again the check, king to h8, queen to d5. You cannot pick up the pawn on f6, of course. Then you have tactical possibilities here after queen to h5. Then with bishop to g7. This is really, really dirty. This is simply too much to handle here for black. So after move queen to d5, in the game knight to d8 was played by Leela LCZero, trying to simplify the game. And now Stockfish plays again on this beautiful move, bishop to g7, king to g8, and now queen to g5, lining up now this beautiful batter on the g file by the rook and the queen. So bishop to g4. Mission accomplished. Finally, this move is coming. Finally, Leela LCZero is breaking the chain here on the g file, but Stockfish continues to pressure with this beautiful move, queen to h6. Now there is the threat of queen to h8. Look at this. The whole concept is falling apart here for black, and the cool part is that Stockfish basically used every single square, every tiny little opportunity to attack somehow this position. Queen to h6, now queen to h6 is obviously the threat. Queen to d7, you have to create now breathing spaces for the king. We have queen to h8 anyway, king to f7, bishop to h6, and now there are threats, of course, of queen to g7. So queen to c7, paralyzing somehow the rook here, at least something, by Leela LCZero. But now we have d5, another brilliant move here by Stockfish. Stockfish is now trying to deflect the queen from the 7th rank. That's important. Let's see what happens if you move maybe the queen from the 7th rank. So that move d5 is a preparation to play the move d6. If you just play maybe a bad move like queen to e5, then you get queen to g7, king to e8, and now bishop to f4, deflecting the piece. And now we can play here a beautiful checkmate here, maybe with the move queen to e7. Again, many other possibilities can happen, but that's the most important thing to notice here, that we are trying to deflect the queen from the 7th rank and deliver checkmate with the support of the pawn on f6. So after move d5, that's why Leela LCZero played knight to e6. Simply try to simplify the game somehow by again further trading of the pieces. But of course Stockfish plays d takes e6. It comes with a check. We have king to e6, queen to g7, queen to g7, f takes g7, and now we have reached this endgame stage in which Stockfish has now 2 pawns more than Leela LCZero, but these are opposite colored bishops. But still, if you play, of course, the game correctly, this should be completely winning here for white. So after move f takes g7, king to f7, Stockfish gets the rook into the game. We have b5, rook to d6, we have a4, rook to b6, attacking now the pawn, bishop to e2, and now first the check. The king drops back to g8. We have a3, very important move, keeping all of your pawns on dark squares where they cannot be, of course, attacked by the light square bishop. So bishop to d3, king to g3, Stockfish includes now the king into the game, rook to d8, bishop to f4, and now bishop to d2 and bishop to c3 is keeping everything glued together, compact. The main goal that you're trying to do is either to go somehow with the rook on the 8th rank, delivering of course a checkmate or maybe even a good check, and then to promote to queen here to on g8, or what you're trying to do is to somehow get the king on g5 and maybe then to play the move rook to b6 and then deliver a check here on h6 and then to play rook to h8. So the whole idea is to somehow get the rook on h8. You can do it on the 6th rank, or you can do it maybe on the 8th rank. So in the game, bishop to c4, now Stockfish tries this idea. Is trying now, as we said, to include somehow the king into the game by playing the move king to g5 and then rook to h6. The bishop is protecting the pawn, so far nothing can happen here on this side of the board. So in the game, rook to d8, king to f4. Now Stockfish plays on this idea. Bishop to e5, rook to e8, g3. We have bishop to e2, bishop to c3, and now rook to f6. You cannot take, of course, you have some discoveries, you lose material. So in the game, king to g8, now comes this idea, king to g5. For instance, if you play king to h7, then as we said, rook to h6, and then you have to play here rook to h8, and then we can pick up the rook, and then we have a promotion. If you play rook to c5, then of course this is not working. We have this idea, king to h6, rook to c8, but now look at this, bishop comes here, and then with rook to f8, this is simply unstoppable. So after move king to g5, Leela played rook to e8, king to g6. We have bishop to g4, king to h6. We have rook to e6, rook takes e6, bishop to e6. But now this pawn is falling, and this is not completely winning for white. We have three connected passers here. They cannot be stopped, of course, only by the bishop. So it's game over. So king to bishop to c4, king to g5, bishop to e2, h5, king to f7, king to h4. Stockfish simply pushed the pawn further to g6 here, b4. Here, what Leela is trying to do is, of course, to read somehow maybe the stalemate position in some lines. Maybe play something like bishop to b4. This could be maybe in some kind of wild line a stalemate position. If bishop to c3 happens, then maybe the bishop is protecting the pawn, and then black could not have a legal move. But of course, Stockfish calculates this position a good way. Plays now bishop to b4, bishop to d3, king to g5, bishop to c2, bishop to e7, bishop to e4, and now a beautiful touch in the end. b3 here played by Stockfish, allowing here a takes b3, but now no stalemates are possible. Here in the game we have h6, bishop to g6, king to g6. You have now this move that you can make now after move h7. We have this beautiful checkmate by the king and this beautiful two pawns. So great game by Stockfish. Really wild attack against the French defense, sacrificing the piece in an early stage of the game. Then in one moment, Stockfish had even two minor pieces less than LCZero, but then we have reached the endgame stage in which Stockfish is playing brilliantly. In my opinion, again, a beautiful game here played by Stockfish against Leela. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Cool ideas in the French defense for sure. If you want to see more brilliant attacking games like this, check out our commented chess games played by computer series. Here's our playlist. We have more than 400 games in these types of games. In my opinion, really important series here on my YouTube chess channel. And if you like this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.